Good day, folks. Welcome to the MD Wildman channel. On today's video, we're talking live traps, and specifically, we're talking about the Iron City bucket trap. Now, I've done a video or two on these before, but my good buddy Rodney Wright at the Viola Valley Hunting Supply Store has a bit of a new design and a new twist on the trap, so I thought we'd go over it again. This, by far, in my opinion, is the best live trap there is out there on the market. Now, a couple of things before we get going. First, if you haven't yet subscribed to the MD Wildman channel, we sure would appreciate it. Just go ahead and hit that subscribe button. If you like the content that we're putting up, go ahead and hit that bell. You'll get notified when we get new stuff. Second, these are not overly cheap. And for those of you that know me, I'm all about cheap. However, I also am all about good quality that isn't going to get destroyed every time I use it. Now, a lot of the cage traps that you'll buy, I can get them at Tractor Supply. They're cheap. They're 40, 50 bucks. Sometimes you can get like a set of two for, on sale for 40 bucks or whatever it is. Those are pretty much one-time, sometimes two-time used traps in my world. They're just not strong enough for big New Brunswick raccoons. They're just not. So you'll set that out. There's a bunch of things that can go wrong with your average square cage trap with a door in the front. One of the main things that goes wrong, especially here in New Brunswick, is that you get skunks in them. And then what do? Right? So then you're down to like trying to throw a blanket over it, trying to figure out how to get it out of the trap and all of those things. Raccoons, big heavy raccoons, they'll rip up the pans. They'll pull the wire, the trigger wire in. They'll pull everything from outside into the trap. It's a mess. No matter what you do, for the most part, when you catch an animal in those traps, it's a mess. So, is it really cheaper when you have to keep buying those over and over and over again to do your ADC work? I don't think so, right? So what I've done is I've gone to a product, this particular product for almost all of my live trapping for raccoons and skunks is the Iron City bucket trap, okay? So let's take a look. All right, so this is just paperwork. Oh yeah, so by not cheap, what I mean is these are 80 bucks, right? So this cost me $80. Rodney shipped it to me, but they're 80 bucks, right? So I'll put a link in the description down below of where you can get one, or at least where you can price them out or talk or whatever. And really, 80 bucks, I'm paying 40-ish for the cage traps, and they're not lasting me any length of time. So 80 bucks for one that's going to last for a long, long, long time, then I think I'm good. One of the reasons that I'm into this new style trap, or this particular, the fact that I got a new one, is some other lovely hunter or trapper out there decided they wanted my other one, so they helped themselves to it. But all right, so here we go. Here's what's in the box. Right from the hunting place, right? So we got a little packaging here. Got a receipt made up to me, one bucket trap. All right, so we've got an incredibly detailed set of instructions as to how to go ahead and use this trap. We're gonna go over that together. You've got your trigger setup, your trigger assembly, and you've got 4 self-tapping screws that look to be Phillips head. Okay, so we'll open those up in just a minute. Actually, I'll open them up now because I'm going to put this together for you. All right, so 4 self-tapping screws. This comes with everything that you need. Some assembly is required, but it's not like an IKEA product, not like a bazillion steps. It's pretty simple, right? So you've got the trigger mechanism taped together here. And that is simply these 2 pieces. Okay, so you've got the trigger. This is the back trigger part here with the plate. And this is the front trigger part with the hook and the adjustable put together piece. We'll get to that in a sec. And then you've got the body of the trap itself. All right, so you're asking if you've been with the channel for a while, you're asking yourself, well, Andrew, so what's so new and improved about this trap versus, the one you did the video on a year or 2 ago? Well, let me just show you those answers. So the rest of that is just box. All right, so what's new and improved about this trap? A couple things. You can see that this trap has horizontal sliders. a little better so that you can see exactly what's in the trap, and it's also made of thicker material. So the other ones before, the older models of this trap looked like this, and they had like a wire mesh on the front, not quite as strong. So the front door has been improved, that's for sure. You also have an improvement in the carrying handle. Up here is much stronger material, and it does not detach. Before, they used to come out, and then whenever you had something that you wanted to carry in the trap, you had to go find your little handle thing and use it. Now they're attached solid and they don't come out. Also, now they have a screw on both sides instead of a cotter pin on one side and a screw on the other. So this latch, this door latch right here doesn't come off. It can't come up and out. Whereas with the cotter pin on one side, you used to be able to take this piece off and it wasn't necessary. And all that did was you had the possibility of losing that pin and whatever else. So now it has 2 screws. So nice improvements so far. But these are real simple to use. Okay, so here's what we've got from the irons. It's called the Iron City Bucket Trap. And this is all you need to make this work. A 5-gallon bucket, just like that. Now what I do, personally, I like the black buckets because they don't stand out as much. If you use the white ones or the yellow ones, you know, you can spray paint them or whatever you want. A couple of little tips: drill a couple of holes in the bottom of your bucket. So I always drill a few, I don't know if you can see those or not, but I drill a few 1/4-inch holes in the bottom of the bucket. This allows for some ventilation. Because it is black, you don't want the animals to get in there and get hot and sweaty and gross. So you drill a couple of holes in the back. It also allows scent for your bait to waft out the back of the trap, but they can only work it from the front. So that works good too. Assembly is super easy. Take your bucket, trap, and take your bucket. Now, I like to put these together with the handle of the bucket in line with the handle of the trap, and I'll show you why in just a second. This trap fits right down in here. It's a perfect fit. It's a perfect fit for a 5-gallon bucket. Okay? Just tap that in there. I like to make sure that these are, like I said, lined up with the bottom. Couple of little taps, just like that. Get that down in there a bit. Make sure it's pretty square when you set it on the ground. You don't want it to be like tipped, but yeah, no, that's good. All right. So there you go. That's in the pail, that's in the bucket. Now, you've got 4 self-tapping screws, and you got a couple of options here. Most of these will tap through the bucket into the steel, and then it secures it, right? What I recommend that you do is take your self-tapping screws, open up the door, and screw them from the inside out. That way the sharp point of the screw is on the outside of the pail. That way, if an animal is in here and they're, you know, scratching around or they're struggling around a little bit, that this little sharp screw isn't ripping the fur, cutting. You know, you want the fur to be in as good a shape as possible, right? So for those of you that are, you know, keeping your fur and sending it off to market and not just releasing what you catch, you want to make sure that it's in the best shape possible, so you don't want any marks or nicks from the screws. So I take the screw from the inside of the bucket, make sure I'm down into the plastic, and then I add, well, I'll throw it in the bucket. Then I add the screws, and you don't need a lot of these. It only comes with 4, but I like to put all 4 in. So there you go. Just do that 4 times, and then what you have is so you've got the head of the screw just popped out the bucket a little bit. Now you can take a grinder and you can grind those off if you don't like the fact that they're sticking out, you know, on the 4 sides of the bucket. Here we go. So quick and easy. Right, so now my bucket trap is securely attached to my bucket. And all I have to do next is put in the trigger assembly. So the trigger assembly looks like this. You've got a flat plate that the animal will pull against. You want to open up the door, slide it through the top slot as such. Take the adjustable hooked part, screw it into the receiver, and there you go. Now what you've got is you've got this. Okay, so you've got a trap all set, ready to go. And this is what it looks like. So you've got the door. Bring the lock up. Open up the door. Slide the trigger forward and hook the door, just like that. Okay. So now you've got this attached, and inside you've got that. You see it in there. Inside you've got that square plate. You put your bait behind that. You can use whatever bait you want in these. I like to use a lot of sweet baits. Sometimes I use the dry bait that I use for my dog proofs. And sometimes I'll use even that cherry paste bait that I made that time. Put them in the back of these buckets. It works like a charm, right? What you don't want to do for these pail sets is you don't want to put something that's singular. Like you don't want to put like a piece of bread back there that they can just grab and move. You want it to be a little bit sticky, and you want them to have to work around and grab it, because what they'll do is they'll reach in there and they'll grab that square plate and they'll try to pull it out of the way. And when they pull it out of the way, this is what happens. They pull it back toward themselves, and there you go. Door slams shut, natural, easy. This locks the door. No way they can get out of there. They can rattle it around a little bit, but they can't get out of this. They can't get out of this trap. When you want to move this, you come along, you find that it snapped. You got a raccoon in there, you got a skunk in there, you got whatever in there. You want to move it. The reason I put these two together is simply you grab the handle of both, just like that. Pick this up, and away you go. Super easy to carry. You're completely protected. If this is a skunk, you're 100% protected. They will not spray in one of these. I've caught a ton of animals in these types of traps, and not ever have they sprayed. You are 100% protected from bites. You're 100% protected from scratches. You're 100% protected from sprays. A skunk's not going to spray in this. They will not spray on themselves, right? They can't get their tail up, first of all. But even if they could, they're not going to spray on themselves. That's not something a skunk does. So you go to transport this, grab both handles, pick it up, and you're good to go. Make sure you keep it pointed away from you where you go, okay? If you want to release, so if you're into catch and release with these types of traps, again, another thing that makes this trap a beauty is the way that it releases, right? So it's locked now, all set. Let's say you want to release the animal that's in here. Piece of cake. Take this out in the field, take it out wherever, roll it once, nothing happens. The animal sort of slides around. Roll it twice, comes upside down, the lock naturally falls, and the door naturally falls forward. And then the animal's gone, right? You're back there somewhere, and this animal's bolting out the door, and away they go, right? So dispatch that, or release that way is really easy. For myself, if you're going to dispatch an animal from in here, let's say, you catch a skunk or you catch a raccoon and it's against the law to release a raccoon where you're at, or, the farmer wants the skunk done away with or whatever. The easiest way for these, and another great thing about these, is they're super easy to deal with. And all I do is I introduce this whole kit to about 2 feet of water. And it's pretty easy that way. Now that's one way that you can dispatch. You can also, whatever your favorite dispatch method is, we're not going to really discuss that too much here on the channel, but it is pretty easy with these buckets. But the catch and release with these, super duper simple. All right, so that's pretty much it, ladies and gentlemen. Again, really quick to put together once you get this in your hands. I mean, you can put one of these together in 2 minutes if you've got a bucket and a cordless drill. And you don't talk and yak the whole way through the process. If you just want to build it, it takes about 2 minutes, and then you're set and done. And these will last a lifetime. These will last forever. I have some of these that I originally ordered way back when, and they will outlast, like literally you'll replace the pail will get dry and brittle after a few years out in the weather. You'll definitely replace the pail before you replace the trap. So if you're looking for a good quality, solid live trap that's going to last and it's not going to get torn apart and it's not going to get destroyed, you really need to check out the Iron City bucket trap from Viola View Hunting Supplies. Tell Rodney that MB Wildman sent you, and he'll give you a deal. All right. Hope that's something that helps you out. And until next time, happy hunting from the MB Wildman channel.